How do you know what's a good bow to buy? There are dozens, if not hundreds, of archery manufacturers across the world, and with many of them only available online, if you're looking at buying a first or second or third bow, it's not always easy to tell which ones are any good. If you can, the best thing to do is always to get into a shop and give it a try yourself. But if you can't do that, you always have the option of looking at reviews. So to that end, in this video, I will be reviewing the Alibow Ming Emperor 3. This is my first bow review, so I'm pretty excited about it. Incidentally, one of the things you can do when you're looking at buying a bow is check out the manufacturer themselves. If they've got good ratings and good reviews, even if you don't know much about the specific bow, they're probably worth a shot. I've used Alibow equipment before, but only ever their arrows, and they're a Chinese company. They're a big manufacturer of traditional style and traditional build Asiatic bows. So this is one of their fancier bows. It's based off of a bow seen by the Ming Emperor Wan Li. It's seen in some art of him going to pay tribute at a tomb, so they've sort of reinterpreted that bow. It is quite nice. There's a lot of cool details on it. The limb tips themselves have this nice little almost horn shape. You've got these little string keepers to make sure the string stays central, which a lot of shorter horsebow type bows don't really have that. They rely on the length of the string to kind of keep them in place. So this is just an extra thing to keep the string centrally aligned. If you follow the curve of the limb down, the mother of pearl inlay here. I don't know if it's real mother of pearl or not. This is essentially your arrow rest, and they've put it on both sides, so it protects the wood. It's a really nice touch that it lets you vary up your shooting style. Little leather wrap here, just very nice, comfy to hold. And then you get this little bit of darker wood coming through with a really nice grain shown, shiny lacquer, and then back down to the tip on the other side. Overall, end to end, the bow is 131 centimeters, which, if you prefer your measurements unintuitive, is about 52 inches, I think, which technically puts it at a shorter bow than this 56-inch bow that I normally use. But because of the ridiculous hooks on the limbs of this one, then the Emperor comes out very slightly longer in profile. So on the whole, it looks nice. It looks very well put together. There's no obvious like cracks or flaws in the lacquer, which is sometimes something you can look out for on bows. But they tend to crop up on ones that have been used more often, less likely to be obvious on a brand new one. I'm rambling a bit because I haven't actually shot this thing yet, and I'm a little bit nervous. I don't use new bows very often. It sometimes takes me a while to get used to them. But ultimately, you can only stare at a bow for so long. The main thing that tells you whether a bow is any good is how it shoots. Well, it shoots arrows. Technically, this bow is suited for a long draw. So I tend to draw to about here, but this one is suited to drawing about there. So I'll try and extend my draw a little bit. First off, those arrows are flying. It is fast and it shoots really nicely. I'll get the last couple of arrows off and then I'll compare it to my other bow for a minute. Draw weight style, this one is 50 pounds, which is the maximum that they do this bow in. So it's a little bit less than the 60 that I use most of the time, but it uses significantly lighter arrows for the weight, so it's still getting a decent speed out of it. Power-wise, it will be less. That's more like it. Compare this to my usual border bow. Okay, I don't have a chronograph, but there's not a lot of noticeable difference in the speed. Even though the border uses carbon fiber limbs and this one uses wood, it's still reasonably comparable, certainly at this distance. I'll try a longer shot in a sec. Okay, here we go. Just going to launch an arrow right down the other end of the garden. See what happens. Nice, okay. And comparison. So I don't know how much you can see of that, but at the longer end of the range, it feels very slightly slower than the other one. But it's a really nice, smooth shot. Like the release, flight of the arrows, all of it is very straight, very smooth. These are the arrows that they sent me, so they're designed specifically to work with this bow, and they do that job very nicely. Final thing on comparisons, the shots from the Emperor are noticeably smoother. That might just mean I need to retune my old bow. They do also have noticeably less impact force, which is partly down to the reduced draw weight and partly down to the difference in materials. in honesty, it's not really fair to compare the two because this is an anachronistic hybrid of a bow. It's got some recurve features, some modern materials, and some horsebow features, whereas this is a genuinely traditional build based on a specific bow that was used in the Ming Dynasty period in around 1600. For me, this works really well. It's a little bit fancier than some of Alibow's other products. The visuals are lovely, completely wasted on me as a fairly rough and ready archer, but they're great. But enough of that, let's put it through its paces. I normally don't put any knock points on my string for speed shooting, but I've not yet fully gotten the hang of where to knock them. So when I'm going fast, it's a little bit less smooth than some of my other shots. But honestly, there's really not much to complain about here. That is a very nice, smooth, repeated shot. Good, I like it. What happens when you try to stack more weight on? I'm just going to add another arrow into the shot, and then maybe ramp it up to 3 and just see how many arrows I can add before it starts to really drop off. Okay, that's not too bad. Try 3. This is incidentally not a great idea normally, but it just gives you a bit of an idea of how the bow will handle changes in arrow weight. Well, I think I hit right in the back of one of my other arrows, which is a huge fluke, but kind of interesting. The weight is, the speed's starting to drop, obviously, but it's still handling it pretty well at 3 arrows. Yep, that's right in the back there. Split that knock open. Fortunately, they supplied me with some little metal arrow collars, so it's not destroyed the arrow, it's only damaged the knock itself. I've got spares of those. Okay, let's try 4 arrows. There's some speed there. Aim changes as you shoot more arrows, so that's not so much the bow as me. Let's just skip straight to 6. This is as many arrows as I've got now, so. Unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent. Okay, here we go. Fully missed with 3 of them, but that's decent speed. They're still sticking. I'm counting that. That was nice. A little bit of a scratch coming in the lacquer there, but I am being an idiot. Right, let's see what happens when I throw some more agile shots at it. Stealth mode. Oh, that is fast. Genuinely impressed with how it handles those shorter draws. There's still there's power coming out of that. Okay, but can she curve though? She can curve. I might be using this bow in a video about curving arrows in the future. On the whole, I'm impressed. I like it. It's genuinely really smooth to shoot. The downside for me is that with a max draw of 50 pounds, it's not going to hit those kind of war bow weights. But as a bow for target shooting, it's really, really nice, and it's versatile enough for things like horse archery and trick shooting. A really pretty bow, especially for the price range. It feels nice in the hand. Its arrows fly really fast, and even if you're shooting a weird trick shooting style, you're getting enough speed and power out of those arrows, even at a partial draw, to make it worth doing. The company themselves, obviously being based in China, the shipping is quite long if you're not over there, but they were good at communication throughout the ordering process. I told them my specs, what I wanted, and they recommended this bow. Now there's just one more test left to do. Good enough for me.